Okay, so now we're gonna learn about the subjunctive in Spanish. So the subjunctive is one of the most complex conjugations, and a lot of native English speakers they struggle with the subjunctive. So let's check it out. Let's see what it is. So the subjunctive is okay. Let's actually start directly with the conjugation. Let's look at the conjugation. For example, let's look for leer, which means to read. Let's try leer and conjugation. So the subjunctive is basically this one. We have the indicative, and then we go down and we have the subjunctive form. And the subjunctive, for example, the present subjunctive, is used to talk about situations of doubt or uncertainty. But a lot of the times we use the subjunctive whenever you have two, okay, let me show you, for example, right here. Whenever you have two subjects in the sentence and they are separated by que or quién or cómo in the middle. So you basically have two subjects, for example, yo, and then there's que, and then there's another verb after that. So there's one verb, one conjugation, then there's que or quién or cómo. Most likely it's gonna be que, and then another verb. So this is basically how the subjunctive works. That's the most basic, saying it in the most basic part. So it's basically saying one person wants another person or itself to do something, and that it's separated by the word que. And yeah, this is complex, but let's see some examples. For example, yo lea, and I would use an example. Él quiere, he wants, que yo lea. This is how you would use it. He wants that I read. So you kind of have to think about it this way. He wants that I read, he wants that I study, I want that he studies. So basically using that he, that she does something. So whenever you see that, whenever you use the word that, and there are like two verbs, you know, one of them is probably going to be a subjunctive, but there are a few rules which we'll go through right now. So yeah, we have the present subjunctive and the imperfect subjunctive. So the imperfect is basically something that happened in the past. For example, leyera, he wanted that I read. Él quería que yo leyera. He wanted that I read. Yo quiero que tú leas. Yo quería, past, que tú leyeras. I wanted that you read. So yeah, you know, you kind of have to have that. For example, the example. He specified that I read the letter in his voice. So there's two verbs. He specified that, and then there's another one, I read. So there are two subjects, he and I. It can also be I and I, basically. And let's look at the example, at the second one. This is the imperfect, which is the past. And let's see, leyeras. So this is a little different because we sometimes use it also with si, with if. So if you read my contract. So for example, sabrías eso si leyeras mi contrato. You would know that if you read my contract. So you would know that if you read my contract, si leyeras, if you read it. So there's a few rules, and we're gonna go over them right now. So basically, the subjunctive works with present, which is right now, and imperfect, which is the past. There is imperfect too, and future, but these ones do not actually exist anymore. For example, the imperfect to, que yo leyese, I have never heard this word in my life. Que tú leyeses, never heard any of these words in my life, and I'm a native speaker. And the same thing for future. It actually says right here. So the future is used to talk about hypothetical future events, and it's mostly seen in historical, legal, and literary texts. So both of these, imperfect and future, you will probably never come across them. So I would consider them obsolete by now. So the subjunctive is mostly used in present and past. Present and imperfect, which is the past. So you basically have to learn these two types. Que yo leyera, that I read. Que yo lea, that I read. Que nosotros leamos, that we read. Que leyéramos, that we read. So yeah, this is basically how the subjunctive works. And it's really hard because English does not have this, but Spanish and French and a few other Romance languages have it. So this is when it becomes hard. So yes, make sure you look for subjunctive present or subjunctive imperfect. And if you have more doubts, you can basically just click around. For example, you want to click here and it will give you a little bit more, like it will tell you way more about it. So yeah, you can basically look into that. And let's go back to class. I'm actually going to show you my examples. Okay, so let's try the first one. So this one. One person wants another person to do something separated by que. So let's try this one. Ella quiere que tú juegues. She wants you to play. But think about it as saying, she wants that you play. This is how the subjunctive works. In English, you might say, she wants you to play, but think about it as, she wants that you play. She wants that you eat. She wants that you run. I want that you swim. So yes, this is how it works. I want that you, or I want that I win. So yeah, I want that I win. So basically, this is how it works. Ella quiere que tú juegues. Ella quiere que juegues. She wants you to play. And the next example. La maestra, the teacher, la maestra, me dice, tells me, que haga la tarea, that I do the homework. So the teacher tells me to do the homework. La maestra me dice que haga la tarea. So here we have yo as a way of showing that there is another subject, but in Spanish we omit it. So that's why it's in those marks. La maestra me dice que haga la tarea. The teacher tells me that I do the homework. Or yeah, she tells me to do the homework. It's a little complex, but we will understand it. And the next one. So this is when it goes a little complicated. So basically the subjunctive is one sentence with two verbs. One weirdo, so if you look down here, we have weirdo, and one subjunctive. So if one of those verbs is a weirdo, in one of those categories, the other one will be a subjunctive. So the categories can be wishes and wanting, emotions, impersonal expressions, requests, recommendations, doubt, denial, ordering, opinions, and ojalá. Ojalá means hopefully, or God willing. Okay, it's too much content, so let's go one by one. So the first one is wishes and wanting. So it says, quiero, I want, I wish, I want, and then there's que. There you go, que. So the next one will be a subjunctive. Vengas a verme. I want that you come to see me. Basically, I want you to come see me. Yo quiero que vengas a verme. I want that you come to see me. So yes, in this case, querer is wishes and wanting. Then there's que. So the next one will be a subjunctive because there's que. So yeah, the next one. Emotions. Me gusta, I like. Me gusta que comas conmigo. Me gusta, I like, and then you have que. So the next one becomes a subjunctive. Me gusta que comas conmigo. I like that you eat with me. I like that you eat with me. So yeah, me gusta que comas conmigo. And on the right bottom side, we have the conjugations as a reference in subjunctive mode. The next one. Es importante. So es is the conjugation for ser. Es, it's important. Que hagas ejercicio. That you exercise. Es importante que hagas ejercicio. So this one is known as impersonal expression. So it's basically the way of saying it. It is important, it is necessary, it. So whenever you have es, most likely you're going to use es. It is important. Es importante, it is necessary, es necesario, es bueno, is good. For example, es bueno que comas, is good that you eat. So whenever you have es, and then with es becomes the first verb, which goes as impersonal expression. Then you have que in the middle, so the next one becomes a subjunctive. It's understandable. Okay, so that's the third rule. So basically, whenever you have it for subject, es, it's important, es. And let's try the next one. Recomiendo, I recommend. So this one is requests and recommendations. Recomiendo que vayamos a comer al restaurante italiano. I recommend. So now it's a recommendation. So that's the verb, the conjugation. I recommend, you recommend. Then there's que, that. So the next one becomes a subjunctive. Vayamos. I recommend that we go. Recomiendo que vayamos a comer, to eat, al restaurante italiano, to the Italian restaurant. I recommend that we go to eat at the Italian restaurant. Recomiendo que vayamos a comer al restaurante italiano. So yes, these are a little complicated, but I think with practice you will understand it. The next one, doubt or denial. So, dudo, I doubt. Yo dudo, I doubt. Then there's que, that. Su casa, his house. Sea, now we conjugate sea, which is ser. Esa, so the verb will be sea. The subjunctive verb becomes sea, since it's the one after que. And in this case, sea is a conjugation from to be, ser. Dudo que su casa sea esa. I doubt that his house is that one. I doubt that his house is that one. Dudo que su casa sea esa. And the next one. So the last one is ordering, opinions, or ojalá. Ojalá is a word that comes from Arabic to Spanish, which means God willing. God willing, so if you want to change, so the first, for example, the first one says, ordeno que hagas lo que dijo, lo que digo. I order that you do what I say. Ordeno, so in this case we're using ordering. Ordeno que hagas lo que digo. I order that you do what I say. And you can change ordeno to ojalá, which is God willing, hopefully. And you can say, ojalá que hagas lo que digo. Hopefully, it's I hope that you do what I say. Or God willing that you will do what I say, that you do what I say. Ojalá que hagas lo que digo. God willing that you do what I say. So ojalá is a word coming from Arabic into Spanish. Ojalá. So one more time. Ordeno que hagas lo que digo. I order that you do what I say. I order is the first verb, que, and then you have hagas, hacer. So we conjugate hagas. Lo que digo, what I say. And so now we have the examples with ojalá. And ojalá can also be replaced with quizás, which means maybe, or tal vez, which also means maybe. Quizás, maybe, tal vez. So it's complicated? Yes, a little bit. So let's try the first one. Ojalá la maestra no recoja la tarea. God willing, or hopefully, the teacher doesn't pick up the homework. Ojalá la maestra no recoja la tarea. Hopefully, the teacher doesn't pick up the homework. God willing, the teacher doesn't pick up the homework. Ojalá. And ojalá we can change it for tal vez or quizás, which means maybe. And so we will try this one. Ojalá vengas a mi fiesta hoy. Hopefully, God willing, you come to my party today. And if we change ojalá for quizás or maybe or tal vez, we can say tal vez venga a tu fiesta hoy. Maybe I will go to your party today. Quizás venga a tu fiesta hoy. My camera got a little crazy there, but okay. Quizás venga a tu fiesta hoy. Maybe I will go to your party today. Quizás vaya a tu casa. Maybe I'll go to your house. So whenever we use quizás or tal vez, the next one also becomes a subjunctive verb. So yes, ojalá, quizás, or tal vez will be followed by a subjunctive verb. Complicated? Yes. Do you need some practice? Yeah. Okay, let's try the next ones with quizás. Quizás vaya a tu casa mañana. Maybe I'll go to your house tomorrow. Quizás vaya. So if you use quizás, the next one is subjunctive. Quizás vaya a tu casa mañana. The next one. Ojalá, you can actually mix both. Ojalá, tal vez, podamos ir al restaurante mañana. Hopefully, maybe we can go to the restaurant tomorrow. Ojalá, tal vez podamos ir. Hopefully, maybe we can go al restaurante mañana. To the restaurant tomorrow. Okay, it's complex, but I think you just need more practice. So, in essence, the subjunctive is used whenever you have two subjects, basically two conjugated verbs, in a sentence, and it's separated by que, sometimes quién or cómo. And one of those two verbs is a weirdo. And on the right side, we have the reasons for being a weirdo. So therefore, the next one becomes a subjunctive. And you can also just use ojalá, quizás, maybe, perhaps, or tal vez. And the verb after that will be a subjunctive. That's basically how to use a subjunctive. It's complex, yes, but I try to make it as simple as possible, which is a very big topic, but I'm making it as simple as possible. So that's it for this one. And I recommend checking out the Quizlet and also checking out the conjugator. You might get a lot of ideas, learn more about it. So as always, thanks for watching. So now it's your turn to practice Spanish. You can find the lessons Quizlet by going into the lecture resources folder. Thanks for watching.